guys, Jake Weisler here, and we just wrapped shooting on the iPhone 11 Pro Max. We just want to give you our overall thoughts on this camera after having shot with it now for a few weeks. No, this is not a detailed breakdown of every single feature that comes to the iPhone 11. This is really just our thoughts and impressions on the video capabilities of the iPhone 11 and how it compares to the iPhone 10, its predecessor. The footage you just saw was shot entirely on the iPhone 11 by our team, mostly on the FreeFly MOVI, which is one of our go-to phone stabilizers, but some of those shots were also shot handheld, which brings us to our first big improvement from the iPhone 10 to the iPhone 11 is the image stabilization. It does a great job when shooting at keeping everything very buttery smooth. This was especially helpful when using the telephoto lens because every little movement was smoothed out beautifully. Apple continues to improve their stabilization every single year, making it super practical for shooting handheld if needed. So now let's talk about the biggest new feature that comes to the iPhone 11, which of course is having 3 lenses. When it first came out, the internet went to town on this look, saying it looked like a stovetop and a bunch of other things. The image is great on all 3 lenses, but if I had to choose the softest lens of the 3, I'd say it's the ultra wide lens, the 13mm. Because it's so wide, you will see a lot of distortion in this lens, but our team still loved using it, and yes, like every lens, it has a place. So while it is a great option and a great tool to use in certain situations, it wasn't my favorite, and I wouldn't really recommend using it a whole lot because the other lenses are better. But seeing that it's the first edition of a lens of its type for the iPhone, it's understandable that it still has a long way to go and a lot of work to put into it. So I'm excited to see the next models and what they can do to improve the quality. But if you're wanting to buy the iPhone 11 specifically just for that third ultra wide lens, I don't think it's worth it. Another con of using the 13mm lens is when you put it on the FreeFly MOVI, it's so wide you can see the MOVI's motor and handle. So you can't even use it on the MOVI, and so we weren't able to use it with a MOVI, just handheld. But like we said, because the iPhone has great stabilization, we were able to use the ultra wide millimeter lens handheld without seeing a whole lot of problems. The other 2 lenses, the standard lens, which is equivalent to about a 26mm, and the telephoto lens, which is about a 52mm, performed beautifully. All the footage you saw was shot at 4K at 60 frames per second and slowed down to 24 frames in post. Same specs as the iPhone 10, so nothing new there. Our next thing we love about the iPhone 11, and probably the second biggest upgrade to it from previous models, is the improved battery life. Apple decided to remove the 3D touch feature from the iPhone 11, which allowed more room for a bigger and better battery. Shooting 4K at 60 FPS and using a third-party app tends to eat your battery up quickly. For that recent shoot, we used it for 3 straight hours, and by the end of the shoot, we ended the day on a 50% charge. This is probably the biggest improvement from the iPhone 10, and the main reason we'd recommend upgrading from the iPhone 10 to the iPhone 11. With the iPhone 10 on a normal day, my phone would usually die around 8 or 9 p.m. Whereas with the iPhone 11, by the end of the day, I'm usually at a 30 to 40% charge. So I definitely love this feature, and I'm super excited they decided to go away from the 3D touch to improve the battery life because that's what we all care about more. So if you're wanting to upgrade from the iPhone 10 to the iPhone 11 solely for the battery, it's worth it. Another pro with the iPhone 11 and any smartphone in general is the versatility it comes with in regards to filmmaking. It's so easy to travel with, and you can set it up and shoot within seconds and produce incredible work, as opposed to carrying on your DSLR setup or cinema cameras. Obviously, the iPhone quality isn't as good as a DSLR or cinema camera, and it still won't be taking over as our go-to camera for professional work, but it's incredible for run and gun shooting, vacations, and even small projects. The quality, versatility, and practicality of the iPhone is unmatched in our opinion compared to any other smartphone. Parker even used the iPhone 10 in a recent real estate video, and here's a side-by-side look at his iPhone 10 footage stacked up next to the 1DX Mark II. And as you can see, they are pretty indistinguishable, especially when viewing on a mobile device. He even threw some of the iPhone 10 shots into the final video to see if the client would notice, and the client didn't. So can the iPhone be used professionally? We think so, but obviously we don't recommend it as your main camera. Also FYI, since the iPhone 10 doesn't have a wide-angle lens, Parker used the moment wide-angle lens for that real estate shoot, and we like the quality of the standard lens with an external wide-angle lens much better than the new wide-angle lens on the iPhone 11. So if you're just wanting a wide-angle lens, we recommend buying a third-party moment wide-angle lens as opposed to buying the iPhone 11 just for a wider angle. The quality on the iPhone 10 with a moment wide-angle lens is much better than the iPhone 11s. And lastly, one other con to be aware of with any iPhone and any smartphone in general with filmmaking is the lack of depth of field, or the ability to adjust your aperture low enough for that beautiful bokeh or background blur. Yes, iPhones had that artificial bokeh for photos, but nothing for video. So maybe in in the future they'll figure out a software solution, but as long as the sensors remain this small, I wouldn't ever expect background blur with a low aperture in video from phone cameras. So there are our thoughts. Overall, the iPhone 11 as a phone, I think is a huge upgrade from the iPhone 10, but as a filmmaker's tool, I'd say it's a slight upgrade. We weren't insanely impressed with it. There weren't any huge leaps forward in video quality. The main one just being the improved battery life, which we were huge fans of. So if you're looking to upgrade your phone specifically for video making and you have the iPhone 10, we don't hugely recommend it, but if you want an improved battery life and slightly better specs and don't care too much about that softer wide angle lens, then the iPhone 11 is a great choice. But I am excited to see what Apple can do now that they've started on this 3-lens venture. I'm excited to see their next models, their next upgrades, because if Apple's proven anything, it's just that they continually get better. With that said, guys, we hope you enjoyed our impressions on the iPhone 11 Pro. And again, like always, if you want to learn how to create videos like we do, check out the link below and join our online community of over 11,000 students who are all becoming professional filmmakers and living their dream. Because when you're just starting out, it doesn't matter what camera you have. The important thing is to start creating content and improving your skills. So if you just have an iPhone or a small crappy DSLR or a professional cinema camera, the course is built to help you learn and grow as a filmmaker with other filmmakers around you to run a successful production company. Or if you just want to see a free preview of what the course is like, feel free to click the other link below where you can sign up for our free 1-hour training where we go over our top 10 secrets to achieving cinematic shots. But that's it for today. If you have any further questions, please let us know.